All right, Derek, this is the game that we, ourselves, the two of us, have been waiting for, as you just pointed out to me in the break. It is the United Kingdom versus Italy. It is you versus me, and we're even on the correct side here. Me being on the Italy side, and you being on the United Kingdom side.
That's right. Why don't you go and parlay some Italiano for us here, Fal, given that you are so completely Italian?
Beve l'acqua.
Perfect. Yep. I too like to beve l'acqua. It's like I'm back in the old country.
On that note, let's jump into game number one. It's going to be the Quest Druid Mirror.
Yeah, I mean, even though we're joking, it's kind of a not just a divide between us casters. It's a divide in myself. United Kingdom is obviously my home country, but I had a lovely holiday in Italy last year, and I like the country very much.
Yeah, I mean, Italy is beautiful. I had a lovely not holiday last year with the other guys as we cast the tour stop there, which was good fun. Definitely not a holiday, but good fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I've always been a keen supporter of Italy throughout the Hearthstone Global Games. They've done very, very well over the last 2 years. For anyone missing the link there, my name is Falcone. I'm half Italian, hence the name. That's why I'm claiming to be on Team Italy for this one, although I've been born and bred in the United Kingdom. It's always fun to go against the UK when possible.
Right, getting into things, we have a good old school Quest Druid Mirror as the first game coming up. Let's take a look at the lists for both of these teams to decide who we feel like is in the lead. United Kingdom going with a Malagos Druid, actually. Very, very contrary to what most of the other teams have been going for. No infinite fatigue capabilities here with Saffravar or Baleful Banker. This is a pure combo deck which relies on Malagos being reduced down, copied, duplicated, whatever you're going to do with it. And then a amount of swipes and Moonfires going to the face. Okay. Whereas Letter on the other side is going with the more classic Baleful Banker, Infinite Fatigue Quest Druid.
So I have a little bit of information about why the United Kingdom have gone with Malagos Druid. They decided, after running through a lot of kind of simulations in terms of matchups, they decided that their strategy was going to be that we tech to beat Warrior, because they decided they can't target anything consistently enough apart from Warrior. So they decided to just bring good decks, but tech to beat Warrior. And their logic is, if we can beat Warrior 2 out of 3 times, we're probably going to win the series. Which is why they have double Omega Assembly in their Warrior, and they have Mali Druid, not Banker Druid, Quest Shaman, and Reno Hunter. That is what Board Control said to me anyway.
Okay, well, to be fair, that's a decent strategy. A lot of teams have Warrior. Italy have the Warrior there, so they are in with a very good shot of being able to target that. However, before we get to that point in the series, first of all, they have to take down this game. And yes. I know even before Doom in the Tomb came in, and we got Kun the Forgotten King in Druid, Malagos Druid was a big unfavorite, a big underdog in this matchup, whereas Quest Druid had so much more consistency in terms of mid-game pressure. With Cenarius, Kun the Forgotten King, all the removal, all the threats, it really just felt like the Mali Druid was drawing dead too many times. They have too many cards that are terrible in the matchup. And I'd have to imagine, with Kun the Forgotten King in the Druid, it's just going to get even harder, if anything, for the Mali Druid to be able to deliver surprise lethal, because by the time they get to the end of the deck, most of the time they're just dead.
Well, yeah, and as we saw by the ludicrous Banker game yesterday, which I believe I cast with Lorinda, the Druid just gets to the point where it's capable of gaining, I think it was 30 armor every single turn in the end game.
Nothing.
And while it is hard to outlive a Malagos Druid, with 30 armor every turn, you can outlive pretty much anything. Although the chance of it actually getting to that stage is incredibly unlikely. The UK definitely think of themselves as not the favourite in this matchup, though, as one of the things that Board Control very kindly sent me was their matchup chart that they did themselves before doing picks and bans. And they put this matchup as a 45% for their Druid.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not too terrible, I suppose. To be fair, though, ball control is ever considered the optimist, so maybe it is I can't even keep a straight face saying that. Yeah, it probably is even better than that percentage they're putting it as.
Yeah. I mean, it's never going to be too far away. The core of the deck does very similar things to what the opponent does. And in the world where maybe Geppetto Joybaz can come down, snipe a Malygos from inside the deck, and they can get some big damage out early, then, you know, it's definitely feasible to see a win here. Letta now, though, with the quest complete, is going to start to make these power plays. Oasis Surger, ×2 available. So, and so is Nourish. However, the hand's a little bit full for Nourish, so I'd be very surprised if we didn't see an Oasis Surger now.
Yeah, the real problem from this turn is just too much stuff.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Crystal Merchants.
It almost makes me wonder, as ridiculous as it sounds, if you are supposed to go for Nourish on this turn, because, you know, yes, you overdraw a stupid amount of cards, obviously, but you're going to overdraw anyway, unless you can spend all your mana, I suppose, and you could start to ramp up towards completing, you could start to ramp up to start getting rid of your cards a bit quicker.
Yes.
But I guess given that you can just spend all your mana instead, this is probably a slightly better way of going about it.
It's kind of okay, but at the same time, look at what he did and what Letta gave up to do that. Like, a 6-mana 6/6, essentially. That's it. That's all he played. Whereas Nourish to gain those vital mana crystals. Oasis Surger to put 2 5/5s on the board and deal with the minion that's there. There was a big opportunity cost to that play, even though it did mean not burning any cards. So, very complicated one. However, I guess now for Letta, he can go with Oasis Surger and Wrath the next turn to once again prevent the Crystal Merchants from drawing cards. Or he can even trade one of the Crystal Merchants in. The second Crystal Merchant in, rather, as the first one's being destroyed now.
Time waits for no one.
Ball Control realizing that these Crystal Merchants are more of a hindrance than a help to Letta's game plan at the moment, which I think is a fair assumption, for sure. But now for Letta, things are going to start turning up pretty quickly. As soon as he hits turn 10, we are looking at some ludicrously powerful plays. And even before then, we've just got 3 potential Oasis Surges which could come down. And at the moment, Ball Control has limited answers, honestly.
He does indeed. One Starfall has already been played. So, it feels as though Ball Control just has to play Geppetto here and get Malygos. Chance has to be reasonably okay to get it. Maybe not. 2 merchants in the deck, Loti, Elise, Anubiseths. Yeah, okay, chances aren't good.
Alright, clearing the board instead is board control.
I mean, Oasis Surger plus Loti just looks pretty solid here, doesn't it? You put the Loti on the board, assuming it just survives and you can use it whenever you need to. Do you like something else more?
I don't know. I'm wondering if it's like Starfall just to get the Anubiseth Defender down, but when you have a Loti in hand, you probably want to hold on to the Starfalls. But I don't know, there's so much stuff in hand that you want to hold on to. You need to start getting rid of something onto this board is my problem. Like, anything that doesn't play the most amount of cards possible is something that I'm not sure I like.
Well, that's why I like this play so much, because Loti's on the board, but like it can't be dealt with. So it just now sits there until he wants to kill a minion for free, or get the spell, or use the spell damage, you know? It just sort of preemptively stops Ball Control from doing anything decent. Ball's going to start by playing the Kun this turn just to gain 10 armor and put the body down. It looks like this is going to be power play turn. Let's see what Geppetto finds. There's another Kun. That is fantastic. At least as well, it isn't active yet, but the Kun is now 1 mana, gain 9 mana. Oh, gain 9 mana. Well, gain 10 mana. What am I talking
Yeah.
about?
The problem is, though, of course, that rewrites the Geppetto Joy Buzz, whereas I think you would much rather draw 2 more 1/1s from your deck as that floop. So we're probably instead looking at not Kun the Forgotten King, I would imagine, on this turn.
Yeah, it's
And
not
instead
necessary
setting up
here,
the Geppetto next turn. Yeah,
but later on, playing the Kun after a Malagos could be
absolutely.
Time waits for no
The
one.
real question now is, does Ball Control want to draw 2 more cards with the Floop, or does he want to wait and use Floop after playing Malagos later? It's definitely drawing 2 more cards for 1 mana does seem powerful.
Well, it's 4 mana, not 1 mana.
Sorry,
right? So Geppetto's- yeah, unplayable on this turn, but I think he'll definitely wait to play it on the following turn. Seems pretty powerful. Holds back on the Moonfire there, quite surprisingly. Huh. It does, of course, up his late game damage by holding onto both copies of Moonfire, but killing off a 5/1 with a Moonfire is a pretty sweet deal.
What to do?
Definitely tempting, considering you know, Boar's just developed this board and there's a lot of damage now available for Letter on the backswing. Even if the Starfall were to happen, just removing 5 damage from the board is definitely got to be something to consider. But we'll see how this one shakes out with the Ferocious Howl, 36 effective health. Starfall going to allow Letter to just obliterate this board.
Keep the Loti stealth, very importantly. It means anything that's developed by Ball Control after is just instantly munched up by the Starfall machine. And I mean, this really just goes from good to better for Letter on the next couple of turns. Like, yeah, he's got Kun into Phaoris into 4 mana Phaoris on the following turn. Like, it just starts to get absolutely filthy.
It also feels like we are just close to Ball Control winning out of nowhere, though, doesn't it? Like, in the world where
Does it?
Geppetto picks up Malagos, if Elise becomes active, suddenly there could be 2 1-mana Malagos in the hand, 2 1-mana Kun in the hand, and Moonfires. You know, there's something coming together. The main issue for Ball Control is hand size.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at the moment that is like at least 3 turns away from happening. Because first of all, he has to draw the Malagos, then he has to shift over to the left-hand side of his hand so that it's actually copied by Elise. You know, it all starts to get pretty unlikely to happen. I agree, though, that there is the potential, if Ball Control can survive, to win the game in the next few turns. But it's just pretty difficult to do so.
What
Yeah, in the end he does go for the Geppetto. I think we can both agree that's pretty necessary to find the Malagos.
Alright. And Loti of Ball Control's own as well, so... Oh. Do we run out of time there? Ball Control did not give himself long to play that Loti if he wanted to.
He did not, yeah. Would you 100% play it there? Probably, right? Yeah.
It just... The way that... Yeah, looking at Ball Control's face now, like... I don't know, it feels like he knows he made it.
Okay. Could still be a King Phaoris turn. To be fair, if Letter wanted to go for it. It's a little bit less impressive now because there's a couple of Innovates in hand. So maybe it actually starts with those just to guarantee himself the better drops off of the 5 and 6. Or, again, he could just say King Phaoris. Sure.
It just...
What is he even going for here? Like, is this Edwin that he can get here?
Oh, maybe.
Did he get it in?
There it is. Yeah, okay, okay.
I think he missed an
just-
attack base. Oh no, he got in everything. Okay, wow.
Just an 18-18 down. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Oh, with the Starfall pickup though, Loti plus Starfall should allow him to clear almost everything.
Oh, what do you do this turn? There's so much other stuff you can do if you fit in the Kun as well. Like, maybe it's a Malagos turn instead of an Elise turn.
Oh, interesting.
Power takes many.
Oh my god.
And this madness, pure madness. Reducing hand size as well, which is quite important for battles later on. Loti can go straight into Edwin.
I mean, it was very flashy, but honestly, it wasn't actually that impressive of a turn. Like, they cleared off a fair bit of the board, I suppose, but they still aren't really any closer to winning the game because Elise is still inactive.
If I'm not mistaken, neither swipe has been drawn yet.
I think you're
In
correct.
the event that swipe is the only duplicate in the deck, if swipe is the card drawn next turn, would that be lethal?
Oh my god, that's
Two Malagos,
very-
2 swipes, and 4 Moonfires.
so that's plus 10 to everything. So that's 10, 22, 33, 44. Yeah, that would be lethal, right?
That's an innovate though.
I
That's
think.
not a swipe.
11, 22, 33, 44. That's like 58, 60. Yeah, that has to be lethal at that point, I think.
With 4 Moonfires, it should usually be lethal, even maybe without the
Yeah.
swipe. Well, no, not without the swipes, but.
Not without the swipe quite yet. Yeah.
However, I don't know that we've seen a Crystal Merchant drawn from the United Kingdom either, so I don't think it is as simple as just drawing a swipe and winning the game.
Well, we'll have to see. At the moment, they are definitely starting to struggle against the pressure that Letter is putting forward. But with outs for lethal just coming in, I mean, you were saying it's getting close, and I was saying it's about 3 turns away. And well, it turns out we were both correct. It's 3 turns time, and Ball Control is starting to get outs for lethal off the top.
Time waits for no one.
Yeah, 3 turns is close enough. What is Ball Control waiting for?
I think 1 swipe was played, says chat. Okay, fair enough.
Oh,
It's
okay,
difficult to
my
keep
mistake.
track in these Druid mirrors, but there's clearly 1 duplicate at least left in the deck.
The duplicate is Merchant. Yeah, I didn't think I'd seen a swipe or a Merchant, so I must have been wrong about the swipe.
I'm almost out of cards.
Alright, Latter though, reaching the end game where he can just go Infinite Banker and I guess Infinite Ferocious Howl.
Yeah, so Elise is his last card, right? He hasn't tempered it out up until this point. Or he's probably wondering if you even play the Nourish to stop it from duplicating, but that's almost certainly wrong because you can just keep it isolated on the right hand side of your hand.
Time waits for no one.
Alright, Ball Control and Dead Draw going to have to work pretty hard to survive this over the next few turns. Yeah, so Swipe wasn't the final duplicate card anyway. I think it must be Crystal Merchant.
I think you're right. Ball Control cannot afford to take another turn doing nothing. If he goes up to 25 with the taunt in play,
What to do?
he would be able to go swipe, trade, and then he's still facing down lethal, right?
Yeah, it's still lethal, yeah.
If he throws in a swipe as well, he can take out a 4/4. I think even then he's probably still facing down lethal.
How does he win the game at that point, though? Well, okay, hang on.
Great
Can he go
question.
Malagos? Can he go Malagos swipe this turn? No, but he's
I mean,
still not
he
winning the
can.
game if he doesn't duplicate the Malagos.
Right, exactly.
He could go Malagos swipe to kill the Scenarios, and it can't be dealt with. But there just won't be enough damage to win the game.
Time waits for no
Well, I
one.
mean, he knows 100% there's a swipe in hand, right? Because every card has been drawn.
Oh, sorry, Malagos is a 1/1. Yeah, forgot about that. Ah. Okay.
Yeah, he's got to do this to survive. And even then, trade. How much damage is this? That's 5, 13, 19. I don't think it's quite lethal here, but it's very
almost
close
there.
to. Yeah.
It is almost there. Swiping the face, trading in Scenarios, and then going face with everything else is just short.
Yeah, I think it's 2 off. But either way, doesn't really matter because Letter can quite happily dominate the board. It has to be for board control the duplicate left in his deck, which we believe is the one Crystal Merchant. But
even then, it doesn't win the game.
Even then, right? Exactly.
Again, 4 Moonfire with 2 Malagos is 44 damage, and that's just not going to cut it.
What to do?
Add 2 swipes, that's another 28, and yes, that would just about.
I'm out of cards. Time waits for
Yeah,
no one.
gains the extra armor. What is he up to now? Like 64?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even close to dying, even to a fully activated Malagos. Alright, that's another card. Let's see what it gets. That's another card. Let's see what it gets.
Yeah.
That's a nourish.
Innovate, nourish, come on, ball control. You can see that too. It does take the first game of the series, and as I said, the Team UK did admit that this was not a favourable matchup, but we'll have to see how the rest of the series goes. There were some interesting mind games with this one, Derek, because both of these teams looked into their opponents' past weeks of HGG when trying to work out a lineup, and Turner said to me that in particular against the UK, we expect them to not bring Priest because we have played Rogue in the top 32. So we changed Rogue to Druid. Like, there were a lot of mind games going on. On the other side of things, I think the UK made a similar interesting read. As I just turned to my notes from ball control for a second there. Yeah, he said ball control said Italy didn't have Druid last week, so we hoped they might not have it again, since our lineup is strong against non-Druid lineups, and obviously Italy did have the Druid. So it looks like read-wise, Italy have the advantage.
Definitely appears that way, and 1-0 up, it's still looking pretty good for them. This is an interesting matchup, of course, still I think around the 50% mark. The Priest is a little bit difficult to play in this matchup, in my opinion. I think while you can go for some kind of late game control-ish strategies, generally I like the, not control strategies, but late game combo strategies as opposed to more tempo strategies. Personally, I usually prefer drawing Cleric, number 1, and also just playing nice and quick with the Priest deck against Warrior.
Slam those 8/8s out. Smack him in the face.
Drink with me, friend.
Well, the option to play Cleric Tolvir Circle is there.
Curves out pretty horribly though, right? Like, what if we were to play just the Tolvir, let it die, and then go coin Amit into Psychopomp?
That does seem better, doesn't it? In the world where the Amit doesn't get dealt with, that is very hard for Dead Draw to deal with afterwards.
Yeah, it's potentially just game winning in its own right. That Acolyte does complicate things slightly for Letter, because all of a sudden his High Priest Amit is dying to Restless Mummy. But it clearly doesn't complicate things that much, because he throws it down very, very quickly. And, you know, when you think about it a step further, even if it does die to a Restless Mummy here, Psychobomb has a 50% to just res it straight back again.
Mm-hmm. Hecklebot picked up by Dead Draw. Card that we've seen a little bit over the last few weeks.
Okay.
Every now and then.
Do we like it? Probably.
Well,
you probably
we
just want
don't
as
like
much
it.
stuff on board as possible.
We don't like it if it hits Bonsamdi.
I wonder.
In fact, hang on. Doesn't anything it hit gain 6 health now anyway?
Well, no, because it's when you play him. Oh no.
It's summoned,
It
right?
is when you summon. Does that count? As
So
summon,
the-
though? Because, oh yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's
I forgot how that worked.
1/6 cleric. That's not ideal for the UK.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I was going to say is that if Samdi does come down, you're probably kind of happy because you get to just kill it off. Cleric,
Okay.
as it turns out, the real disaster draw because that's just an instant card draw there for Letter.
Oh man.
With a following up of what, a 7 health 7 health Psychopomp and a 7 health
The end.
Tolvir as well. That's nutty.
I've got more left in me.
Oh, fair play to Letter. This has been disgusting.
Yeah.
And the
I mean,
worst
that
thing
hex
is-
what- yeah.
The Plague of Wrath can't even kill anything now other than the Tolvir.
Yeah, the Hecklebot I think was quite questionable, just because of the armor on the board. I guess, you know, I'm being a little bit results orientated there because a lot of the cards, even as like a 2/6, like Nether Set for example, it just wouldn't have mattered. The 6 health wouldn't have mattered. Cleric on the other hand was a disaster, but I guess a risk that Deadjaw was willing to take. Is it? Does he have to go for a 2-turn setup Dynamatic into Plague of Wrath? You just lose so hard to a second circle there. I like this.
Definitely feels a bit better. Doesn't feel good, but it's the best shot you've got. Yep.
Oh, it's just the fact that it's a 2/7 again. Man. Deadjaw's like, where's my brawl?
I mean, what do you even do here? Second Psychopomp gets you obviously another Tolvir back as a 7 health.
I must consider.
But is that like overextending, arguably, at that point? Is there such a thing as overextending when you have this many cards?
No, I think that's just called extending. Or
Is he killing off the Cleric? When have you ever seen this?
He's got another one,
Suicide
hasn't he?
Cleric. What the heck is this game?
some arm. Well, okay. Well, now it allows Letter to play the Nether Set without drawing
Yeah.
cards.
I mean, it's
Oddly
smart.
enough,
It's
yeah.
a good idea, but it's just crazy to see.
Right. Is an afterthought.
Was that the correct order? I guess with actually how the positioning worked, he had to do it that way. I guess he didn't really want to draw the cards anyway because he would have overdrawn then. So yeah, this is fine. The important thing being that the Amit does survive a Plague of Wrath as it currently stands.
It's amazing how useless that Plague of Wrath has been this game. Like, just a simple whirlwind would entirely change the tide of battle.
What now? I must choose.
Alright, yep, it is going to be the Dynamatic, and the hope that these minions don't get healed up, that maybe Plague of Wrath can do the rest of the damage next turn.
Is someone injured?
But just look at how this shakes out straight away here. Letter snap plays Cleric Circle. And even if it's not necessarily the right play or the best possible play, just giving yourself the time to execute the rest of this incredibly tricky turn is, I think, very, very smart. So, potential for value trade with 2 of your minions here. Play out something, I don't know, Pyromancer perhaps, and then heal back up with the Ritualist to draw 2 more cards.
Okay.
You're running into overdrawing fears then, I suppose, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Cycling through your deck to find that Divine Spirit seems good.
Quickly.
Whatever he's going to do, doesn't have long to make this decision. Maybe it's time for an Inner Fire. Just start smack in the face. Got a very easy 2-turn lethal in the event that the board survives.
Yeah, I think I like holding on to the Inner Fire actually here because he can still threaten lethal on the next turn with Inner Fire, but this just makes sure that even if his board is cleared by Plague or Brawl, he's still got a strong follow-up.
Yeah, we haven't even seen it.
Finally, though, we are going to see. Exactly right. Divine Spirit's still 2 of in the deck, but as I was going to say, the board clear finally comes in. It feels like it's been a whole massive legacy of a game of Hearthstone here. It's only turn 7, but finally now, Dedra is able to clear things off.
You can definitely breathe a sigh of relief. One somebody's still present in the hand, though Letter isn't lacking for cards for the time being. It's still the Divine Spirit of all things that he needs to draw. And it looks like, for now, it's still going to be possible to have a minion stick to the board, even though Reckless Mummy will make short work of this injured Tolvir.
Yeah, I really like this play, just putting the most amount of health on board as possible,
Absolutely.
so that as soon as you find that Divine Spirit, whip it onto the board and win the game. Molto facile.
But with both Clerics gone, there's no way for Letter to draw both Divine Spirits next turn, so we're not really looking at the potential for lethal just yet. That will be the second Restless Mummy picked up.
So obviously Dedra's primary concern here is actually just making sure he doesn't die on this turn. 1 Divine Spirit or like a Beaming Sidekick plus Divine Spirit feels like a decent benchmark to set his life total at.
Okay.
Which is like about 20 damage, so I think that the armor up here wasn't necessarily crucial. He could have gone for an Acolyte instead, but this is a decent way to go as well, I suppose. He's actually not going with the Mummy at all, wow.
Second Inner Fire, but still no Divine Spirit. That's really frustrating. Does this make you wonder if maybe the first Inner Fire could have been played earlier? I mean, again, I'm being a little bit results oriented
Possibly,
here, but,
right?
Yeah.
but more damage going into the face means it would have been harder for Dedra to play around the potential lethal outs now. There is a Topsy-Turvy alongside the second Inner Fire still in the deck, so the chance of him drawing a second one, you know, it wasn't unlikely.
Yeah, and at this point it's just like, what, a 1 in 3 for Divine Spirit, and it gets better every turn. It's looking real good for Letter with the Silence still in hand as well, to be able to answer a Kartut Defender.
What now?
And for Dedra, it's just a question of how best to populate this board. The health total is just a very awkward shape for Reckless Mummy. It would still take the 2 attacks to dispatch it. One Sumdy hitting face isn't really something Dedra wants to see, so maybe, yeah, the Kartut is necessary.
Yup. Yup.
But even then,
So now,
Sumdy can still get
23
face.
health. Yeah, exactly. Silence. I mean, if a Divine Spirit comes up, it is very, very easily lethal.
Oh,
Without that, though,
no.
this is still very, very close.
Both Innifiers and Topsy Turvy is in the hand. Ah.
Maybe this is
somebody
just
into
lethal right now, actually. Yeah, I think he's found it.
with beaming sidekicks, of course.
Yeah, quick maths coming through from Letta, and I think that does mean that with the double Divine Spirit and the Topsy Turvy, he's able to take the win against the Warrior. A crucial matchup for Letta to be taking a win with in what is a very, very close matchup indeed, and devastating for Deadshot. This does look like this may just be going the way of Letta and Italy as it currently stands.
Absolutely. A very powerful game from Letta. And, you know, it all sort of went on with that Hecklebot play. Hecklebot into Cleric, allowing Letta to draw all of the cards that he could ever hope to need in the game. And then, obviously, the lack of a board clear. Warpath Brawl didn't come until, was it turn 7? And that was kind of too little, too late, unfortunately, at the time. But yes, Italy take a firm lead at the start of this series. We're in the initial matches here for Group C. Winner of the series will be moving on to the winners match. Loser will be in the elimination bracket a little bit later on. Which of these teams is going to win the series? We'll find out after this short break.
We're live, Falk. Would you like to introduce the show?
Oh, shoot. Okay, Derek, I was looking at the stream. It's like a 45-second delay on the looks of things. I'm literally looking at the stream. You say you're live, and I'm like, no, there's still... Ah! Welcome back. Thank you We're gonna jump straight into the game. Fantastic.
Bring it on!
Oh, all worth it. All worth it. I feel rejuvenated. I feel like a young man again.
I'm just glad I wasn't still picking my nose when we went live, you know? Like.
Oh, God bless you, Falk. Right. Warrior Mirror. That is definitely the most exciting thing that's going to happen for the next 45 minutes. I can guarantee everyone watching that.
Well. Okay, so we've been having a quick look at the deck lists in the break. And we have one side with Hakar, with Geppetto, with Brewmaster, with Elysiana. And we have the other side with most of that, just not the Geppetto and not the Hakar. So do you think the Hakar edges this one? Or do you think that the UK deck with the Hecklebot is better?
So, in all honesty, we had another Warrior Mirror earlier today where it was very, very, very clear that Hong Kong was incredibly at an advantage over Chinese Taipei because they had Elysiana, they had the Brewmaster, Hong Kong had none of Chinese Taipei had none of that. Whereas here, both players have Elysiana, they both have N'Zoth, they both have beautiful Brewmaster, importantly, to get 20 cards shuffled into their deck. The interesting thing is that Hakar is obviously a symmetrical effect. You both get a blood shuffled into your deck. But they both have the ability to destroy it with the Elysiana that they can use to rewrite their deck and get rid of the corrupted bloods. The thing that can break that symmetry, I suppose, is that Italy has the control over when it's played, when they get shuffled into the deck. So maybe if they are able to get it at a very opportune time, maybe force Dead Draw to go for both Elysianas first, then keep it as the final threat, that could be the difference maker. But in all honesty, I have not played a whole bunch of these Warrior Mirrors personally, much less where one player has a car, one player doesn't, but both players have Elysiana. I would guess that Turner is at a slight advantage, but nothing overwhelming actually.
Okay. Well, in that case, this is going to be a pretty interesting game then. It's always disappointing when one of the decks is teched out to beat the other one by like a pretty large edge, but they both play out anyway because there is the small potential the other team wins, but we kind of know the result. I definitely like to see a more neutral game, especially as it's going to be a long one. Did you have a lot of these long games last week while I was away?
It wasn't too bad actually, and when I was casting with Gallon, it felt like it flew by, I tell you. It was a delight.
Ah.
Oh, it feels like that with you as well. Yeah.
I was going to ask if you'd come up with any new techniques or any new games to play. We played What Tier Would That Card Be in Battlegrounds 2 weeks ago. I was wondering if you guys came up with anything new.
I love that game. I mean, I was actually infamous amongst my circle of friends back home because whenever we went to Glastonbury, which is a music festival in England, there was like a really long coach ride we had to go on to, and I was the guy who made up games, and I had some real crackers that we'd play on the coach, like guess the number, where I would choose a number from 1 to infinity, and they had to guess what the number was. I always won. No one ever guessed it once.
I mean, you could play that game right now with Twitch chat.
Right, exactly. Okay, yeah, right. Let's play around. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and infinity. See if you can guess it, Twitch chat. Should I write it down, actually? That probably seems like a better way, and then we can reveal it at the end. Okay, actually, I'm not looking at Twitch chat, and I'm gonna find a piece of paper and write it down. I guess I can go.
In the meantime, Heckle's actually been played and didn't yield any amazing results. So,
True.
yeah, there's actually something relevant that happened.
The game continues.
In a world where Hecklebot just summons Elysiana, that's pretty much it.
Kartik defender comes down. Definitely just a back and forth here that I think is not going to break the tie between these two players quite yet. The difference maker at the moment appears to be, you know, if we're calling this a relatively even game, I'd definitely say that Dr. Boom could be the difference maker if Turner is able to get it early and Dead Draw is not. There have been some good guesses in chat, I want to say. Keep them coming, guys. This is a respectable effort. No one's got it yet, surprisingly. But, you know, you're... I mean, to be fair, you are potentially infinitely far away, but good job.
Let's keep in mind here that the United Kingdom were specifically teching against Warrior with their deck building and their preparation. The strategy was a lineup teched for Warrior, but also decent against other decks.
I mean, their Warrior is teched for the Warrior mirror, right? Like I said, if anything, they are only very, very slight underdogs. And, you know, maybe them having played the matchup, maybe they feel they're actually further in the lead. They do have 2 Omega Assemblies, which is a little bit out of the ordinary. Italy only have 1, and Omega Assembly is a fantastic card in the matchup, so maybe that extra value that affords them could be the difference maker.
Potentially. It's very hard to imagine this game not going to fatigue, and it's very difficult to imagine Hakar not being relevant in any way, but then both players can reset their decks, so I guess a lot of it for Italy is about the timing of the Hakar, when they can play it, if they can follow up with Elysiana straight after, if it's too early for the UK to play their Elysiana.
What now?
I just want to say a quick thank you to everyone in Twitch chat who has been spending the whole time that HGG's been on informing the new viewers that the game is pre-recorded and the casting is not. Every time I look at Twitch chat, I see somebody asking a question and somebody answering. And to those of you answering, I salute you. You're doing amazing work. Keep it up.
Heart in the chat for you guys. You're the real heroes. So if Dead Draw wanted to end all of our suffering, we could just see the go for it random shot in the dark play of bounce the Hecklebot and play it again to try and pull Elysiana. If it happens, he just wins the game. But it's probably not the best.
You never know. Another Hecklebot might get discovered at some point. That would be exciting.
Okay, at the moment, Dead Draw does not... Oh no, sorry, I was going to say, Dead Draw is able now to play the Emperor Thorasant quite happily because he has Brewmaster in hand, so he would be able to go Elysiana and bounce it for 10 mana, even if he wants to play the coin. You know, obviously he has the coin to make that 11 mana play in a single turn, but if he plays down the Emperor, he would then have the liberty to get rid of the coin on the same turn. So basically what I'm saying is, for me, Emperor feels like a fine play here.
Yep, it's not bad. A full hand of discounts is never something to complain about, as Dead Draw does continue to put in that damage. It is possible that with enough damage, enough pressure, that something like a Beryllium Nullifier can actually make the difference in this game. It can end through sheer board presence alone. It's just unlikely.
Light the fuses!
It's definitely very unlikely. Yeah, the power of Dr. Boom shining through this board very, very easily cleared off with a bunch of little rushes.
Discovering mechs, that's always good. Absolutely, the more discovers the better. There's a reason that Deaddraw is running a Mega Assembly. It's because it's good in this matchup. And with enough discovery drones, Turner can make his own Mega Assembly.
What now?
Delivery drones? Did I say discovery drones?
I got your meaning.
I think it's just a better name though, isn't it? Discovery drone.
Discovery drone. Yeah, it's a bit more descriptive, I suppose.
Alright.
Okie doke.
There's
Board's
Thaurissan.
cleared up, so Emperor Thaurissan. Yeah, it feels like you're not overcommitting to the board anymore. I mean, honestly, I feel like board presence almost doesn't even matter at this point anymore. Maybe the UK feel like they can edge out their slight disadvantage by going for it. But, yeah.
It's really tough to get anything to stick though.
Sure is.
Ooh, mechanical whelp.
Whelpy
though.
whelp.
That's kind of hard to kill.
Yep. Nice with Nazoth as well. A nice higher attack option than your cartridge.
Absolutely.
Deaddraw really just needs to get some room cleared out of his hand now, but with 2 Acolytes of Pain there, it's going to be kind of difficult to do so.
It's not
What
possible that this one goes to turn timer, is it? Given that both players have
I would say-
Elysiana and Panda.
I'd say unlikely for sure.
Yeah. Unless somehow both Elysianas got bounced in extra time, it doesn't feel like it should happen.
Let the pain speak to me.
Because there was the ludicrous game that Lorinda and I cast, I think in week 1, where I think it was a Res Priest mirror, and they both somehow kept getting Holy Waters, and just targeting Elysiana with them and getting them back and playing them again and then again and then again. I don't think that can happen in this matchup, thankfully.
Yeah, I guess this is a decent way to... It does keep drawing cards from your deck, obviously, with the Acolyte, but it clears out some cards as well with the Shield Slam. And the Ziliax means that Omega Assembly is more likely to be playable in the next couple of turns. The real problem, I guess, at the moment for Deaddraw is that Omega Assembly has been nerfed a little while ago, I suppose you would call it, with the change to Discover.
Oh yeah,
where now you are
definitely
no more likely to find a warrior. Yeah, for the most part, I definitely
well,
agree.
it makes Hecklebot more likely,
Well, that's the
I
thing.
guess.
Exactly, right. It gets more difficult because you are less likely to find a Mega Devastator or Beryllium Nullifier or the traditionally powerful cards in a matchup. You're more likely to find Mechathoon and Hecklebot and Ziliax, though, which are also very powerful cards in the matchup. But overall, basically, Omega Assembly is just a pretty good card here.
Hang on a second. Mechathoon is not powerful in this matchup. I'm sorry. It's just not. There's no world in which
100%
anyone
win rate.
wins this game. Right, yeah, okay.
Just think of it. You can go for bounce back something else, play the Elysiana, or how about this? You're also more likely to get a Llama Bot off of Omega Assembly now, so you can a Llama Bot to pull out your Elysiana, and then get Mechathoon as well, and then Mechathoon's your win condition. Huh?
Sounds like it
Look at that.
happens. Sounds like it happens 100% of the time, Darren.
Yeah. In all likelihood, when you are playing Elysiana, I agree, Mechathoon is not really a win condition.
Because
But I don't know,
just,
something to talk about, eh?
emptying your hand and deck is one thing. Then playing it is another thing. But then how do you kill it?
It's clean. I definitely agree with that.
There
Very
you go,
nice early
there's the
Mechathoon
result.
here for Turner. Oh, not
Very
Mechathoon,
nice early
Jesus,
Mechathoon,
forgot
yeah.
his name. A nice
Yeah.
early Nazoth is what I was trying to say.
Absolutely. Getting that Twilight Whelp and that Hakar back leads to a pretty awkward scenario for Deadjaw, because now a Brawl to clear the board still at least leaves Turner a 7-7. I guess Deadjaw could follow up with a N'Zoth of his own. Wasn't the best Omega Assault, has to be said. Goblin Bombs, yeah, okay, yeah. Reasonable. More damage.
Yeah, nothing. Like, Bomb Generation wants to play really bad with the
Oh. Deadjaw really not happy about the result of that brawl, but I feel like that was. Wait. Were they meant to play the Whirlwind at the end?
I might be an idiot.
Were they meant to play the Whirlwind at the end of the turn? No, I don't see how that's any better.
Oh, they just couldn't attack.
Oh, attack Whirlwind. Right, sure, yeah.
Right. Well, it does mean they have to tank a little bit of damage immediately. Honestly, though, probably isn't the biggest of deal breakers in this matchup.
Alright, first blood drawn. That is somewhat problematic for Deadjaw, actually, because he doesn't want to be playing his Elysiana really until he's drawn quite a few more cards from his deck. But these bloods stacking up now might mean that he has to pull the trigger a little bit sooner.
Well, they're not really allowed to play Dr. Boom anymore, given there's a 13 attack minion on the board in addition to everything else, which is a pretty big concern. So what do they do then? Like, Snip Snap can't get through, N'Zoth doesn't even protect them that well.
What now?
Oof. That one hurts. I mean, I was saying that missing the Whirlwind wasn't that impactful. Quite clearly, it was. They've taken like 12 extra damage because of it at this point.
Yep. It's definitely stacking up. Deadjaw really not happy with himself there. Was that just a case of the brawl animation taking too long and actually not having the chance to do it? Maybe they should have decided on their play a little bit sooner. You can blame the game to a point, but they definitely could have acted faster and not created that situation. And there's another blood.
I can't even remember the last time that a warrior mirror came down to actually someone dying rather than it going to fatigue. That slows things down,
say that,
but it's actually not that difficult to connect this 13 to face. Like attack with all your small guys, and then Plague of Wrath, and then Whirlwind. That allows this 13 to connect face. Yep, they see it. Very nice.
That's really nice. And it looks like lethal. It's obviously not, because Deadjaw is about to heal right the way back up to 30. Then but still, it's progress, and we know that there's at least 3 bloods in Deadjaw's deck now. So 3 out of 8 of those cards are Bloods. At some point, Deaddraw is going to have to play Elysiana. That feels like top priority, though, is get rid of this 13-15.
Is it even killable on this turn, though? Like, you have 8 damage with the Mortuary Machine, and then another
6 with a Reckless
4
Mummy.
with Snip Snap? Oh, yeah, sure.
6 with Reckless Mummy, and
That's
then 1
not
with Whirlwind.
even
So yeah, it's killable. It's killable with the
Oh,
Whirlwind.
sure, okay.
It's
I
not
mean, then you're
great.
summoning
but
6 1/1s, though, I think, at that point, yeah.
I'd rather face down 6 1/1s than 113 attack minion, though.
Fair, yeah.
There's no
Maybe it's
taunt
better
to
to
put
just
up.
stick
There's
something
freezing it.
away.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well, you can put down the damaged Stegatron.
Oh, sure. But as far as you know, there's another rush minion that can just. Oh, I guess Deaddraw does have 17 health, so he's not dead just yet.
Okay then.
Either way, it's a scary position to be in, and I think the United Kingdom are going to be stressing out about that Brawl turn for a little while to come, even after this game ends.
They definitely are. Right, the clear comes in. They still got a tank 6, but maybe this is still recoverable. If they can hit good minions off their Elysiana, and, well, first of all, if they can get to that point, and then get good minions on their Elysiana, this is still salvageable.
There's no Omega Assembly lethal here, is there? Like War Gears and things? No.
Don't think so.
War Gear plus Replicating Menace? No, it's only an extra 8 damage. So 14
Okay,
possible.
then.
However, they can just equip the Super Collider and start swinging face instead.
Skater
Honestly,
Bot,
don't know if
that's
they
another
will start
damage.
swinging face, but at this point, I wouldn't even hate it. They're starting to just home in on lethal, it feels like, pretty quickly.
Don't forget there's 3 Bloods in the deck, Darrow.
That's true. That's very, very true.
So hitting the face for 8 here. Oh, a 7. I mean... one more hit would have meant that the 3 Bloods would be lethal. Now there's 4 Bloods in the deck.
Yeah, it's only 1 more, but this is looking more and more like it should be enough to lock Deaddraw out of this game. Like, if he wants to find the time to actually play the Archivist Elysiana, he's just going to die.
Well, now half of the deck is Bloods. And that's hugely problematic because 2 Bloods will be lethal, even if Deaddraw clears the board.
Yeah.
So what is this? Goblin Bombs and then Brawl? Oh no, just Brawl and then trade into the 1/1, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, just the 1-1 survived, never lucky.
What were you hoping for?
A 2-2, come on.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
This would be a good time for a master plan.
This would be a good time for a master plan, Dr. Boom. I agree, but I don't think you have one. And this is very likely to be the last turn. Oh yeah, the curator's in the game.
What do you know? I don't think it actually draws anything at this point.
I hope it doesn't.
Yeah.
Alright, 2 Bloods is lethal.
Right. Very, very good chance of just Bloodlust or Corrupted Bloods from the deck. I suppose Bloodlust in a way. Delivering lethal here to Deaddraw.
There's 1.
That's a 1.
Okay. Alright, 5 Bloods in the deck, 8 cards remaining.
It's just all gone very wrong for Deaddraw. Like, it could so easily have been Turner and Italy who were the ones who were drawing all the Corrupted Bloods and were getting close to dying here. But I think a combination of the mess up from Deaddraw to not clear the board, Turner's very aggressive playstyle, and a little bit of help from the gods as to how those Corrupted Bloods were drawn, just means that Deaddraw doesn't really have a chance anymore.
No, I mean he can clear this curator. He can leave a bunch of 1/1s behind afterwards. But he hasn't found the time to play Elysiana yet. And he's not going to find the time to play Elysiana because Turner just isn't going to let him. Turner can even go ahead and play his own Elysiana this turn, which again sort of prevents Deaddraw from playing his because he'd need to deal with Turner's in order to survive.
Well, that was 1 blood, only, what, 14 more needed to be able to win the game, so that's not a bad start. Or I guess, actually, I'm exaggerating. Only 12 would have been needed there.
I really miss the old Togwaggle Druid days of naturalizing the bloods out of my opponent's deck.
Okay then.
Such a good feeling. I tell you who
Love
also
that
misses that is Deaddraw. He was an absolute fiend with that deck.
Yeah.
He loved it to death. He was really good at it as well.
Togwaggle Druid in general might be my favorite archetype ever in Hearthstone.
Okay then.
Yeah, Togwaggle was a lot of fun.
Alright, so we're going to clear up that board, and 5 out of 8 of those cards are bloods. 5 out of 8 of those cards are lethal.
And even if they don't come, Turner's still just swinging in for lethal over the next few turns. Alright, they get to live to fight another day. At 1 health.
The curator.
So
Oh,
Elysiana at this point... Yeah, okay.
Alright,
Just give it up. No chance left of winning there. When Elysiana is playable, you gotta just give up at that point.
Yeah, Deaddraw has had enough, ball control has had enough, and that means that Italy have won this game 3-0 and will be joining France in the winners side of this bracket. That's very exciting for Italy and very exciting for me personally, Dara, because you know we made our sides clear at the start of this game, and I was the Italian one. Just saying.
You were.
I was.
You did win that series of Hearthstone. Good job, buddy. Very well played by you specifically. You should be very proud.
Thank you. I am proud. And so are Italy, of course. Jokes aside, it's cool. I am hoping to see the United Kingdom make their way through the elimination bracket over the course of, I think tomorrow is the next time that we're going to see them. Obviously, all of the casters here are very fond of the team. And as you were saying, when you look at Deaddraw and Ball Control as players, they are likely just 2 of the best players in the world, not just in the United Kingdom. But Derek, I think that you've had a long enough casting shift now. You can go ahead and get some rest. Lorinda and I have got this last one covered. We've got 1 game coming up today. Don't go anywhere. The last HG game of today coming up after this.